I actually thought to go outside today, but apparently I'm not feeling that well. What to do? Maybe I will just take a little rest today and I will go outside maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Whatever. But the good news is I just came to know about the new announcement of a camera from Sony, and trust me, it's a very interesting one. So this is the video where Sony discusses all the specs of the new camera. It is called Alpha 1 or A1 or whatever you want to call it. I guess I will call it A1 because I am like, it gives me happiness. Whatever. So, it's a very interesting camera and I'm really eager to talk about it. So, I just watched the full video and then read few articles, just researched about it, and it's a crazy one. So, I'm really eager to talk about it. So, the Sony A1 comes with 50 megapixel camera, and I don't need to tell you how much 50 megapixels are. They're just huge numbers, but the most crazy thing is it can shoot at 30 fps in burst mode. That's a really crazy one, because just think about the sports photography, just think about any type of action photography. 30 frames per second in 50 megapixels, it will be crazy. It will be just crazy. You can think about it already, like we have different cameras with 15 fps or maybe 20 fps, but this 30 fps is just crazy. I cannot think more of it, how this camera will be the beast in action and sports photography. The dynamic range in this camera is also very great. Sony claims it to be 15 stop dynamic range, and 15 stop is the industry best dynamic range till now, and you will get a very nice details in the shadows as well as in the highlights. So that's a very nice one, and kind of it was expected because it's a flagship level camera and 15 stop dynamic range is very much expected from Sony. It also has silent shutter options, so you can just without any sound, and the other person or the other animal, the bird or anything, they will not just get distracted by the capture sound, the shutter sound. So that's a very nice one. I guess the Canon R5 also had the same thing, but yeah, it's a very nice actually function to have in your camera. And as you know, the mirrorless cameras have crazy number of autofocus points. So this camera also comes with 759 autofocus points with real-time eye autofocus for human, that is obvious, with a lot of improved eye autofocus. Like we have also seen the eye autofocus in other Sony cameras, but this time the eye autofocus is gonna be one level up. The eye autofocus also comes with animals, so the animal eye tracking will also be great for, I guess, wildlife photographers. It will be a very good one. These two things will also be applicable in case of videos, but the next thing I'm going to tell, which is for the birds, eye autofocus for birds, this will only work if you are shooting photos and not videos, but the rest too, like the eye autofocus for human and animals, it will work for videos as well. Another interesting thing in this camera is that you can also create 199 megapixel images using the upgraded pixel shift multi-shooting mode and Sony's Imagine Edge desktop software. 199 megapixel. Do you really need it? But anyway, if you need it, then you probably get this, so no worries about that. The electronic viewfinder has also been upgraded. It now comes with a refresh rate of 240 Hz, and it's the first in the market to have an electronic viewfinder of 240 Hz. That's a very nice one. The camera brands are not just focusing on the sensor and other things, but also they are focusing on the electronic viewfinder because it's a because it's a very important thing for many photographers. It often happens that the image you actually take and the image you see in the electronic viewfinder are very much different. So this is a very nice thing to do with the electronic viewfinder, that the brands are also considering that and improving that as well. Now coming to video, this camera is capable of shooting in 8K 30 fps, and this time I am hoping that there's no overheating, because the last time we saw 8K in Canon EOS R5 there was a bit overheating issue, and it's open, like everyone knows that. But this time Sony comes with 8K 30 fps and I'm excited to see how it actually goes. The 8K recording will be for 30 minutes so that the camera doesn't get overheated like crazy. So I think this shouldn't be an issue. Like 30 minutes is a decent amount of time. We will also have 4K at 120 fps with autofocus, and that's a very important thing, because often we see like 4K 120 fps there's no autofocus and all. But this time Sony comes with 4K recording at 120 fps with autofocus. There will be a little crop. Sony claims it to be like 10% crop, but I don't think that shouldn't be a big problem. The Sony A1 can do 8K 30p at 10-bit 420 and 4K 60p and 120p at 10-bit 422, and that's a very nice thing for, you know, getting that depth in colors, so that you have millions and millions of colors to capture in the camera, so that, you know, when you color grade it, no such information is lost and you get a very nice flexibility in color grading. Another important thing is that 4K is not downsampled from 8K, but the camera does perform a 5.8K downsampled when using the Super 35 mode. This camera also has the S-Cinetone profile, which is loved by many professionals, many video makers. So I guess you will also love it in this new Sony A1. Now this camera has got active mode optical image stabilization, but you should know that it doesn't work in 4K 120 fps and also in 8K. So it just works up to 4K 60 fps, and you also don't get a flip screen, and I don't know why Sony did not add this to this, but they added it to the Sony A7S III. But then what was the problem with this? I don't know. But I really like the flip screen because I'm just used to it. Many people may not like the flip screen which was in A7S III, but whatever. This camera doesn't have the flip screen and it has that typical tilting Sony screen. And the rest of the things are common, like you get 16-bit raw recording when you record it externally, and you also get 2 CF Express Type A card slots, so your workflow is very fast. So this is just the announcement of this camera, and what do we conclude? Is this a good camera? Definitely. Is this a video camera? Yes. Is this a photo camera? Definitely. So it's basically best of the both worlds. It's a hybrid camera. Like the Sony A7S III was a total video camera. The Sony A7R series cameras are totally like photo cameras. But this camera can be the beast of the hybrid cameras, because it can do crazy photography things like 50 megapixel at 30 fps burst shooting. That's crazy. And animal eye tracking and bird eye tracking. So it's a very nice one for photography. In videography you get 8K 30 fps, you get 4K 60 fps as well as 120 fps, you get like 4:2 recording. So it's a very nice, as well as you get the S-Cinetone. So it's a very nice thing for videographers as well. So it's a hybrid camera which can be the best of both the worlds. So I'm really excited about this camera, and I hope you are as well.